Testing 1 2. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Test 1 2 1 2. Test. Test. Testing 1 2 1 2 1 2. Testing 1 2 1 2.
But that will never concentrate. Oh, is that what that is?
Not getting anything on that. I think you will now because it was off.
Oh, yeah.
You'll get something now with the testing. Testing. Testing A. Testing B. Testing C. Testing D. Testing D2.
Testing. G, G, G. Testing. H, H, H. Testing. I. Okay. Testing. J, J, J. Yeah. Testing. K, K, K. L. Testing. L. Testing. M. Testing. N.
Testing 1, 2. Test 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2. Thank you.
Good evening. Sorry we took a little longer than we should have, but we're so glad you're all here. We're going to reconvene to open session at 6:26 p.m. There was no action to report taken in closed session pursuant to Government Code 54957.1. If I could ask Rebecca Cooksey to lead the Pledge of Allegiance. If I could, without standing, just take 30 seconds in honor of the 13 Marines that died in Afghanistan. Thank you very much. Addressing the board. Board members will be utilizing electronic devices during the meeting. To access the online agenda, an electronic device may be used to record this meeting. Individuals who wish to address the board may complete a speaker card and present it to the superintendent's secretary. The president shall recognize individuals who wish to speak. The individuals wishing to present testimony to the board concerning specific items on the agenda may do so once that item has been moved, seconded, and is on the floor for discussion. Time limits of 3 minutes per person, 20 minutes per item shall be allowed. Board members may ask questions for clarification purposes. However, no action may be taken and no discussion may take place on an item not on the posted agenda. And as per the Brown Act. Now we are asking for comments from PTA.
We have none this evening.
One of these days, somebody from PTA will come up and talk. How about CSEA?
We do not have any requests this evening.
Thank you. Teachers League Union.
I have not received any requests and I don't see any representatives requesting to speak. None this evening.
Thank you. We'll move right on to comments from the audience.
We did receive two comment requests online and I'm not sure, there was no comment attached. I'm not sure if the individual is here this evening to speak. Nicole Scott. Is Nicole Scott present? There was, the subject was COVID-19 outbreaks and virtual schooling. We will follow up with Nicole Scott to find out exactly what the comment was, but there was no comment information attached to that. The other comment was from Cassandra McDonald received on the 2nd of September. Subject, transparency of COVID cases on campus. And the comment reads as follows. Recently, through networking with other Miller Elementary parents, I have learned of at least 2 cases of confirmed COVID at school. I feel the schools have the responsibility to keep parents informed of current cases. Northrup supplies weekly reports to their employees showing how many new confirmed cases they have had in the past week, the building the employees works in, and which shift they are on. I feel we are all owed the same information at school. Students, of course, can't be identified, but we should get the courtesy of finding out how many new cases the school has confirmed and which classrooms the students are in. At what point does the school plan to notify parents if there is a big outbreak? At what point will the school close and return to virtual instruction? None of the elementary age students are old enough to be vaccinated, and though most children recover just fine, some will suffer greatly, and who knows what long-term consequences this virus can potentially have on young developing lungs. Again, the person submitting this comment was Cassandra McDonald, and we will follow up with her. Thank you.
Are there any other speaker card?
I do not have any cards. Let me see, just one moment, please. I did receive information from Gina Whipple that an email had been sent, but I do not have that information. I will try to locate that information or ask Mrs. Money to see if she has any requests, and we will report that to you before the end of the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on, we'll move on to informational items. Enrollment report.
Good evening, Board.
If you could speak a little louder, please, and you can move the mic if you need to. Thank you.
Good evening, Board. As of today, we have a total of 13,724 students in TK through 8th grade. In ECE, we have 526 students. This is a total of 14,250 students. It's a gain of 94 students from the last board report and a gain of 116 students from the same time last year. I do also want to let you know that we have 1,332 students who need to get vaccines who are not compliant. But as of right now, only 20 are excluded from attending school because they have to have their vaccines up to date. There's a little bit of a window that the nurses give them. So if they can get their vaccines in that time, they'll be coming back to school. There is, however, a shortage of the Tdap vaccine right now in our valley, and that's going to cause some problems for some of our families.
How many did you say we were holding up on with the vaccines?
There are 1,332 students who don't have their vaccines, but only 20 of those students are excluded from coming to school. They can, however, get on independent study.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. Let's move on to 11A or 11B, other.
I don't have an other, but I do have a comment from Mrs. Whipple. So please allow me to read that for you. It was received a little bit later this afternoon, so I didn't see it. So it says, "Good evening, everyone. I've chosen not to attend in-person board meetings in an effort to protect myself, my family, my students, and their families from unnecessary exposure to COVID. This year has been challenging for me and my members. Again, we have been called on to adapt our practice in order to provide a safe educational experience for our students. Many of us have been called upon to fill in the gaps to cover for unfilled teaching positions and unfilled sub-positions. We have done so in order to retain a normal experience for our students. It is draining, but we do it. We are asked to wear masks all day while teaching, which is incredibly uncomfortable, but we do it. We are the adults and need to set the example for our students. Our attitude directly impacts their learning experience. I ask all of you to think about how you want to be perceived by students and young people in general. We all have the opportunity to do what needs to be done to keep everyone safe. As adults, we need to make sacrifices and endure our discomfort for the greater good. What we need and what our students need is your support. We need the adults in the room to respect the safety protocols and create a positive environment for students. They have many obstacles to navigate and need us to have a positive, supportive attitude about school and safety rules. Regardless of our personal feelings, we need to abide by the social contract that exists in society, just like we expect our students to respect the social contracts we have created in class. Members of TAL wish Sandy a full recovery. and we hope to see her soon. Thanks. Thank you and have a nice evening. Respectfully, Gina Whipple, President of TAL. That concludes her comment.
Thank you. 10. Something we've been waiting a little over a year or more for. ACES Award.
Can you hear me? That wasn't my sexy walk. I threw my back out this morning. So if you wondered what was wrong with me, that's sort of what it was. So, but I agree with you, Mr. Wynn. It is a thrill to be able to present ACES Awards in person. We've been giving them out for a year and a half virtually, but tonight we get to do it in person, and I'm excited to see who's here this evening. I'd like to start by calling up Maria Stanford. Maria, come on down. And I'll just invite you to come down that dark gray strip and just stand right at the intersection of them. Those two, while I celebrate you this evening. Thank you very much. So this comes by way of Amy Westlake. And I'll let you face the board because they want to see you. And then, you know, if you want to do a pirouette and turn around so other people can see you too, that's okay. So this is what Amy had to say. She said, "You are the CNS manager at Lincoln. With so much planning for the first day of school, which was fast approaching, I hadn't had the opportunity to touch base with the cafeteria in regards to our students' feeding requirements and details for the Promise Academy. It was the 11th hour when I touched base with Maria. Even though she is very busy, Maria stopped what she was doing and took the time to go over all of our students' specific needs. She was very accommodating and even brought in her personal bullet machine. When I first read it, personal bullet, I thought, uh-oh, but it's the bullet machine, right? From home to ensure that students' food was properly pureed. She also provided me with her personal cell number if I needed to contact her. Her calm demeanor and can-do attitude made all the logistics of feeding medically fragile students easy. It is great when our families experience Lancaster School District exceptional customer service, but it's also exceptional when we provide this outstanding service to each other within the district. Thank you, Maria." So the next award is really, if 2 is a twofer, then 3 must be a threefer. I know that sounds strange, but we've got 3 folks that are being recognized this evening by Nancy Talbot, who happens also to be here. Good to see you, Nancy. Thank you for joining us. And I'm going to invite the following people who I know one is not here, but Yolanda Cortez. I don't see Yolanda. We'll make sure she gets that. I know that Greg Russell is not here. So he's another one. And finally, we have present this evening, Lucia Oviedo Nino. For those of us, Lucia, who know Nancy, it comes as a surprise that she was so terse in what she wrote. But terse is a good thing because you get straight to the point. And this is what she said. She said, "I want to honor you for always stepping up to get things done in short deadline scenarios for the grant. As you know, Nancy's been helping the district, working on a grant, and she's had to receive information from a lot of different people, and you're one of them." She said, "You have been unfailingly gracious and met every quick timeline for translations." So we just want to say thank you very much for your service to the district. And Nancy, go ahead and wave again. Yay, Nancy. And yay, Lucia. And that concludes our ACES presentations for this evening.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Nguyen, I would like to invite Mr. Conti to stay for the next set of recognitions, if you don't mind.
Okay. So, it is common for us to recognize various employees and even classifications of employees throughout the school year. We recognize teachers, classified staff, and administrators annually. Tonight, we want to recognize our small but mighty group of confidential colleagues. There are exactly 4 members of this elite group, and quite frankly, the smooth operations of the district are often placed in their extremely capable hands. It reminds me of a quote from Margaret Mead, who said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. Tonight, we honor and celebrate this small group." So, rather than waiting till the very end, I'm going to invite Lisa Shannon to come up. Penny Baker is not here. She's home. She got bitten by a spider this weekend, and so she was unable to be here, but Lisa's here. I saw Mary Ellen Butterworth. Come on up. And Jerry Money, come back from the bowels of the district. Oh, there she is. I should have escorted you down the stairs. So I'll just have the 3 of you stand and face the board, and then you can stand and face the audience or whatever you want as I just read a little bit about you all. So pretend there are 4 up here because Penny's here in spirit tonight. But these 4 confidential collaborators, we are recognizing this evening, and I believe that they could have been the genesis of that quote from Margaret Mead. So from newest to the most senior, our honorees this evening are Mary Ellen Butterworth. Mary Ellen Butterworth is the Administrative Secretary 3 of Business Services who joined Lancaster School District on November 6, 2018, almost 3 years ago. And she shared with me it's been the best 3 years of your life. Okay. So, the other folks that we're recognizing tonight have long tenure with the district. Mary Ellen, not so long. So I actually called her up and said, tell me a little bit about your work history. She shared with me that she's a former bank loan secretary and teller in Cedar City, Utah. And then she moved here and for almost 30 years worked with the Muscular Dystrophy Association. And her last job there was the regional coordinator, and she was responsible for 7 offices from Texas to California. And I can tell you, Mary Ellen, we were thrilled that you decided to come to California and more importantly, come and work in the Lancaster School District. Thank you for your service and thank you for all that you do. Let's give it up for Mary Ellen. Next up, in terms of tenure, stay there. You're not going anywhere. It's a little uncomfortable, isn't it? Oh, good. I know Lisa hates this kind of stuff. So we'll just pause for a moment, Lisa. Next up is Lisa Shannon. Lisa Shannon is currently the Administrative Secretary 2 in Human Resources, and she joined the Lancaster School District on March 25th, 1996. I was about 7 at the time. Did you hear Larry? Thank you, Larry. She joined as a clerk 2 in PPS, which is now PSA. So Pupil Personnel Services. She has served as school secretary 2, so both at the elementary and middle school level. And since February 2nd, 2013, so quite a long time, for 8.5 years, she served as the confidential administrative secretary in HRS. And can I tell them? You just said, go ahead. And much to our dismay, and I know it's already gone to board, but Lisa will be retiring at the end of October. And we have thoroughly enjoyed her leadership in all of her positions and are excited that we get to recognize you before you go off into the wonderful world of retirement. So, Lisa, thank you for your service. Penny Baker, the Administrative Secretary 3 in Human Resources Services, joined the Lancaster School District on March 25th, 1996. Does that sound familiar? Yes, on the exact same day as Lisa Shannon. That date is going down in the history of the Lancaster School District as one of the most monumental days. Penny started as a clerk too, then became an office assistant, school secretary, and then the credentials analyst in HRS. On July 18th, 2006, Penny became the confidential administrative secretary 2 in HRS. Not wanting to limit her influence in the district, she moved to become the confidential administrative secretary 3 in business services on 7/1/2012. Well, she decided she'd made a huge mistake in going to business services. And we would all agree with that, would we not? And she decided to come on back home. And so since October 2018, Penny's been the HRS Administrative Secretary 3, and she's been a confidential employee for 15 years. Penny, God bless you. And last but not least, we have Jerry Money. Jerry, hired on in the district on July 6, 1994, also started as a clerk too. Interestingly enough, she became a secretary. Jerry moved fast, and she still does. Jerry became a secretary too on September 6, 1996, and on July 12, 1999, became a confidential administrative secretary 3 in educational services. On July 1, 2010, Jerry became the executive secretary to the superintendent, a position that she's held for the past 11 years. And she's been a member of the confidential team for 20 years. 20 years. So together, our confidential team has served the district for over 26 years. We are forever grateful for their service and their mark of professionalism, creativity, knowledge and expertise, and passion, and are a result of their integrity, grit, and faithfulness to the staff, students, family, and community of the Lancaster School District. Honestly, there is no other way to say it than we simply could not reach our goals without you. Thank you from the top, middle, and bottom of our hearts. Bless the three of you and Penny. And I'm going to ask the folks who are responsible for working with these people to come on down and give them their gift this evening. So Michelle, you get Jerry. Larry, you get Mary Ellen. Charles, Mike, and I get the pleasure of giving Lisa hers.
It is. We need you to turn your mic on. Thank you.
For the work that's being done by everyone. So now we'll move to unaudited actuals. Ooh, yes.
Dr. Freeze, if you can make sure that the mic is in front of, thank you. Just want to make sure that we can hear you.
Well, this is the end of last year. As all of you guys have been in the new year for about 2 months, I'm just getting ready to close out the year. So I'll catch up. So anyway, this is, let you know where we ended last year. And at the end, I'm going to give you a little bit of an update on the budget. So if you look at this, we normally go through the revenues. So our local revenues were about $11.5 million. State was $12.6 million. Federal was 29, almost $30 million. Now you're going to notice that that's a lot higher than we normally have. Normally it's somewhere down there about $3 to $4 million. But this is where you see all of the one-time funding that's coming in from the federal government. So that's why we see the $30 million there. You see the LCFF supplemental concentration at 39 million. That's the one that helps us with our unduplicated students. And then our LCFF base of 113 million. And where's all this money gone to? Well, we've got most of our money, and I should have added this up before, but it's about 80% of our money goes to the certificated, the classified salaries, and then our benefits. We have books that are about $17 million, contracts and services of $21 million, capital outlay of just about $500,000, and other outgo of $2.2 million. So this again is not common. It's not our regular because the students really hadn't been in school that much this year. And so the expenditures look a little bit different, but we're getting through it. Our contracts and services and books and supplies reflect all of the PPE and everything that was purchased to keep us all safe. As you can see, the total revenue is about $206 million. Our expenditures are about $191 million. So we did gain a little bit this year. We need to remember that with all of the one-time funding coming in, a lot of our other funding did not get spent as much as what we normally would have. Remember that we have timelines on which this one-time money has to be spent. And so therefore, we have made sure that we're using the money that, you know, how we always talk about using the money that is the most restrictive. Well, in this case, we're using the money that we will lose if we don't spend. So we've been trying to utilize that money first. The other thing that we have this year is our supplemental concentration. On the norm, we would spend the money, and what wasn't spent, it would go to the bottom line. Well, effective this year, the money that we didn't use in supplemental concentration has to be tracked. And that money has to move forward as supplemental concentration dollars. And it will be spent on those unduplicated students along with the new allocation for the new year. So that money has to be spent for those students, even if you didn't spend it the year before. It just carries forward in that same capacity. I don't know about you. Oh, let me look up here. I've got funny little faces here on my totals. So we began with about $29 million and we ended the year at about $45 million. Remember, a lot of this is one-time dollars, $13.9 million in restricted. That is, we never see that. In fact, we would have probably about $2 to $3 million. So some of these dollars are not reflected here because when you don't spend them, the revenue goes to the next year. Some of them, it does fall through the bottom line, and that's why you have that restriction, the restricted dollars of almost $14 million. The reserve of our 3% plus the 3% additional reserve for the board is $11.2 million. So our net ending balance, both restricted and unrestricted, is almost $40 million. And you'll notice that 20 million of it is unrestricted and the almost 14 million is the restricted. So the 20 million for the unrestricted is about normal. It's the restricted dollars that are a lot higher than what we normally see. So now we're going to do just a little bit of an update on the budget because as you know, we put the budget together before the state even adopts their budget. And so therefore, after the state adopts their budget, we have 45 days to put through a budget revision. However, because we are not frozen, you have not seen that come into our budget just yet. So we're kind of on hold until they approve the LCAP, approve the budget. Once they do that, they'll freeze us and then we're business as usual. And then I can join you guys and start the new year. So we had, if you remember, there were like 5 months of deferral this year. It was February, March, April, May, and June. And in May, they said that a lot of those would go away, except maybe a little bit in May and June. Well, when the budget came out, all the deferrals are gone. And in fact, not only were the deferrals gone, but the repayment schedule was moved up significantly. And I can say that the deferrals now for March, April, and May were paid in August. So we're back now. We're not working on our trans anymore. Remember, we had to get that pretty good sized trans just so that we could float cash. Well, now the deferrals have come in. So now the money's there to repay the trans. The unemployment was supposed to come in at 1.23%, which was a huge increase because it's normally 0.05%. And it had been that for about the last 10 years. They were going to increase it to 1.23 when we did the May revise. And when the budget came out, it went down to 0.5. So even though the 0.5 is significantly higher than the 0.05, we are extremely grateful that it wasn't the 1.23. So that was a considerable decrease in the unemployment rate. So the concentration funds, normally, we got 50% of the base of anything above 55% of our unduplicated count. I know that that's confusing, but we have about 89.92%. So that equates to 34.92% of the base, but instead of 55%, they increased it to 65%. So that is a significant increase for us as well. But again, this money has to be used for our unduplicated students. And as a reminder, that's our EL students, our foster homeless, and our
Yeah.
Okay. So the other thing is that a lot of the categoricals, we're not going to get any COLA. When the budget came out, special ed and the mandated block grant both got a 1.5% COLA. And as you know, special ed is extremely underfunded. So I know we used to say that they were an encroachment, but the encroachment was really the wrong terminology because they have not funded special ed at where it should be in the 28 years that I've been doing budgets. So I like to say that it's just underfunded. And so we were appreciative that they got the 1.5. There are some other changes in special ed, and I think you guys are getting some COVID dollars and stuff as well. Thank you. But they could really use some increases, and I can see that's on the agenda, and we've made some big strides for that, but I think we have a long ways to go. The CARES Act also for child nutrition. This is also COVID. It's an increase of 75 cents per meal. And that's huge. That's a huge increase for them. And it needs, again, they're doing an awful lot. They were feeding all of our kids, even though we weren't in school. So this is a program that is continued, even whether the kids were in school or not. So the ADA is a challenge. The state as a whole is on a downward trajectory in ADA. Lancaster School District looks like it's promising right now, But P2 is a long ways away. That's not until April. And so we won't know what our P2 is until April. As you recall, last year we had a drop of over 600 students, and we've been on a hold harmless for 2 years. But now, last year we had only 1 year that we had to show the drop in our multi-year projection. Now it'll be 2 years that we have to show that drop. So we're really working hard at increasing the ADA so that we will see as little of a downward trend as we can. Again, it looks promising, but P2 in April is a long ways away. So we still are striving to increase our ADA. And I already said that the hold harmless was through this year, but we still have 2 years in the multi-year projection that it will affect. PERS is also going to increase 4.13 over the next 3 years. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but that's a huge percentage increase for all of our classified employees. So that's still some challenges that we have. We have a lot of one-time dollars. And, so you see a lot of money being spent and a lot of money being spent on a lot of good programs and a lot of good things that we need to get through COVID. But it's only one time. It's not something that you can, we always say, you don't use one-time money for things that eat, and things that eat are things that are going to go ongoing year after year, and that's salaries. So we're trying to make sure that any salaries we put in place, that we have a place to pay for them after this goes away. So again, it's a juggling act, and it's something that Dr. Bauer and I work on a lot more than we normally had to. But she's very in tune with the budget, and we work with LACO to make sure that we are fiscally solvent. And as a team, I think that Dr. Freeze and Dr. Bowers and myself and Maria Alatorre really work really hard to make sure that we're using the right time, the one-time money for one-time costs, and that we're making sure that after this is all over, that we still leave the district in really good shape to where you guys will be fiscally solvent for many years to come. Any questions? Yes.
Okay, under the Capital Facilities Fund, does that include our capital expenditure for the bus transportation agency?
Capital Facility Fund?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
Our transportation comes out of Fund 01. All transportation costs are in general fund. So the Capital Facilities Fund,
It would not
no.
include that.
no.
Thank you.
Capital Facilities Funds are our maintenance funds, where we do a lot of the ongoing maintenance and the deferred maintenance projects for the district.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Ruby, thank you very much for a very comprehensive overview of our unaudited actuals, and we will continue to work closely together to monitor this and leverage those dollars in the best way possible for our students and our district. Thank you. That actually completes our report on unaudited actuals. And Mr. Nguyen, we're ready to move on to new teacher support. And I need your microphone.
All right, Kristen, new teacher report.
Thank you. We've been keeping our new teacher support department very busy the last few years because we've brought on a lot of new teachers, and that means a lot of new support. So in addition to the support that's provided through CIA, in that department. I would just like to take this opportunity as you're getting everything all set up to say an extra thank you to all of our support providers out there, whether they're for new teachers, support providers, interns, and congratulations and thank you to all the hard work of our new teachers themselves. So there's a lot of folks working very hard to do what it takes to serve our students and to support those teachers, not just in the department, but outside. So if you're a support provider out there, just there's some love coming your way. There is love coming your way. Thank you very much. With that, Krista, please.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bowers. So, it is my grand honor to present to you Renee Rubio this evening. Michelle Lambert could not be here tonight, so I am going to step in and kind of fill in woefully so her place this evening. But we are here to present to you what we're doing for our new teacher support this year in the 21-22 school year. So we're going to start with how we started this year. This was, we were very lucky to be able to provide the New Teacher Summer Academy for the second year in a row. So, and we did it virtually again. We did it virtually last year as well. This year we expanded it just a bit. It went from July 22nd to August 2nd, full days. Our poor new teachers had very full agendas all of these days, but they were there. And you'll see some responses from them in terms of how they responded to that. But we were very lucky to be able to provide this opportunity for them. And we did want to thank, there were several departments that helped us with this as well. Special education and student equity and access and outcomes, student outcomes, had a lot to do with the support for New Teacher Summer Academy as well this year. So thank you to those departments. All right, so who came to see us and get support this year? We had about 25 multi-subject teachers. We had about 12 single subject teachers and about 9 education specialist special ed teachers. So roughly around 46 teachers joined us for this optional opportunity this year. And you can kind of see the breakdown there in terms of their credentials. We had a chunk of them that were new to us, but not necessarily new to teaching. So we welcomed them with open arms to give them an introduction to the Lancaster School District. We covered, I'm not going to read everything on this slide because it is thick, but you can see from everything on this slide, this is what we covered in the course of those days. So we covered everything about what our district is about, our priorities. We talked about English language development. We talked about curriculum. We shared with them how we build lessons and what our priorities are with lesson design, how we do assessments and diagnostics and gather data on our students. We gave them time to plan and collaborate and work with each other and meet their teammates and their peers. We gave them time to do some learning on their own asynchronously in certain topics that they were interested in or that applied to them as well. So it was a very, very busy time. And in addition, like we said, we had 2 days in the front of this whole time for our special education teachers to get some specialized training in special education. And then we also had 2 days for our new teachers to participate in CKH, the Capturing Kids' Hearts training for the first time, which we were very lucky to be able to provide for them. All right, so how did this go over? How did they respond? And do we want to do it again? And the answer overwhelmingly is yes. So we did a survey at the end of the time with them and asked them, how effective did you find the New Teacher Summer Academy? 64, almost 65% said very, very effective. And almost all of the rest of them said at least effective. So I think we're doing something right and very proud of these numbers for sure. I'm not going to read everything on this slide, but we did ask them to provide some comments about what they learned and what they appreciated the most about their time with us. So you can see there's some pretty profound things here. And they also gave us some things to think on and things to improve for next year. We always take suggestions for improvement as well. So we offered a lot. There was a lot to think about, but this will also give us some room to grow and things to improve on for next summer as well. Would you recommend the New Teacher Summer Academy to new teachers next year? 100% of our respondents said yes. So that to me says we are definitely doing something right. I'm not going to read everything on here, but I did want to take a minute to read one of the comments that I thought was pretty profound. I am so grateful that this session was offered. There is no I can't really go to I'm going to read it here. There is no comparison between how prepared and relaxed I feel going into the first week, having completed this training, versus how unprepared I would have felt had I not attended. I honestly cannot believe anyone chose not to attend, especially since we were paid. This New Teacher Academy was a game changer. Thank you to the district and to everyone who worked so hard to make this happen. So very appreciative of those comments for sure. And that means we met our goal. We wanted them to be prepared coming into the first week, feeling confident and on solid ground. So now I'm going to turn it over to Renee, who's going to talk about our new teacher support program and what we do, who our teachers are, who our new teachers are, and what we do to support them this year.
Thank you. And thank you for allowing us to present all our information. Dr. Bowers is not kidding. Our program is just growing and growing and growing, and the numbers they're huge. So let's look at them. Here are our numbers currently. We have between induction year 1 and year 2, 82 candidates. That's the most we've had in induction at the start of a year since I've been here, probably since I was hired 20 years ago in that other teacher shortage. We have 60 mentors. We did just hire some. Of course, when we are looking for a specific kind of mentors, they're the ones that don't apply. When I'm looking for these ones, they're the ones that don't apply. So we actually need a couple more upper grade mentors. We remember our ISPs stand for intern, SIP, PIP. Those are our emergency credentials and our intern credentials. We currently have 58. We know that there are some holes still outstanding that will be filled, hopefully with some more people. We currently have 51 mentors, and you'll see the breakdown on the next slide. So total supported, we have 140 teachers and mentors 111. And not all mentors in induction are currently paired due to the matching of the credentials. So we're working on trying to make sure all credential matches, site matches. It's a pretty intense puzzle to make it all fit correctly. This is just a quick reminder as we go through what's next. Remember, induction, we have our preliminary. Our interns are PIPs and STIPs. Our PIP and our STIP is our emergency, like our emergency credentials. And then our internship is they're in a program, their teacher exam is passed, and they're working forward to getting their preliminary. Just a little background as we go through this. So here's where we're at. So far, we know things are changing. Reallocation is going to happen. Maybe people are going to move. However, it's going to work. This will change. This is just how we're at the moment. You'll see the usual patterns that we see every year. We're all aware of them. We do support extra at places such as New Vista, Paiute, Joshua, and Linda Verde. We spend the majority of our time there working with the greatest population of our new teachers. Got there for a minute for you to take a look. Again, green is our induction, our preliminary credentials, and the blue is our internship and PIP. There's our mentor caseload. We've really worked very, very hard this year. We know that the best mentor is the single mentor. We don't live in that world right now. Most people are going to have to be doubled up by the time this year ends. You can see some already are. Some are very willing to have as many as I will give them. We know in the reality that is not what's best for new teachers. They need some one-on-one with a mentor who's not too busy mentoring everybody. So there are some that have more. You'll see one outstanding. We have just a couple people who are on monitor. They have a special kind of credential, so we keep them with certain people with the matching credential. So one number is a little wacky, but doable. All right, so this is our ISP, our intern STIPs and PIPs. This is their mentor caseload. This has been a really, really difficult year to get mentors to get teachers to say yes. Emails aren't working, phone calls aren't working. I might sometimes have to go in there and smile with, a pack of donuts and say, I'll bring you this every Friday if you'll mentor for us. There's bribery involved, not really, but it feels like it. It's definitely harder for them to say no to my smiling face than on an email. So you'll see I do have some mentors at some of our higher needs schools that are mentoring 2 people. We are adamant that we try not to do 3. 3 is too many, but things happen and sometimes it will. So far, we're doing pretty good though. All right, so that was our numbers for this year. We'll get to questions at the end. What we have also going on at the same time as trying to figure out this giant puzzle of new teachers and mentors is we're in the middle of our accreditation process. We just completed step 5, which was a pretty big step. That was our precondition. We had to create a website. And it's an evidence-based website. And so we had to do two of them. One was for our general preconditions and one was for our specific. We successfully met the requirements, which was a really good feeling. And so what's next? I feel like we just run right behind the CTC and all the things they do. Our next one is October 15th. We have our program review. That's a pretty big one. They are through another website we have to build, are going to go through our entire program and look at everything from the mentor logs to our ILPs, to our trainings on Monday nights. So it'll be interesting. We get to still work and build that. Right after that, we start working on our common standards. And that's basically all the pieces of induction broken down into our standards and built on a website again. We'll have 4 websites by the time this is done. But what I did was I made one big website with 4 separate pages. And I couldn't imagine having to go to 4 things every time. So common standards will come in February 22. And then thank you, Krista, for reading the email properly. Oh, Dr. Bowers, thank you for reading the email properly that says the site visit is February 2023, not 2022, because I almost had a panic attack. I wasn't ready. So that is a pretty big deal. You've been through site visits before. They're going to interview everybody up on these tables right here. Dr. Bowers, they're going to come in, the state consultants. They're going to work with us. They are going to examine our entire program. I personally am a site visit member through the CTC. I'm a part of the Board of Institutional Reviewers. I've been on 3 site visits between last year and this year. I'm going on another one. We got this. I am totally not worried. I know what to do. I know how to do it well. And I've seen it done again and again. So although I'm stressed about a lot of the work involved, I'm not worried. We're going to be wonderful and do it great. So I put a little link right there if anybody wants to see what our website currently looks like. I won't take time to show that now, but hopefully you'll have access to this and you can go back and look at it at your leisure. It's really exciting, a lot of evidence. Woo.
Can we get that link sent to us?
Yeah, I absolutely will. So changes to our program for this year. We changed, I don't remember, that's the wrong word. We have had so many people. We've turned our year 1 and year 2 into 4 separate cohorts. Try to manage the amount of information. We still have some program sponsored waivers. It ends on 8/31, and that is the CTC is giving waivers to people with preliminaries that still have subject examinations to take, such as a TPA and a RECA. That ends August 31st. They will push no more people with a preliminary with restrictions through. They'll have to get that all done before. But we have quite a 20-something in that group that we are working diligently with to try to figure out how to support the mentor who needs to support the candidate who's doing a TPA. It's new for us and we're learning, but it's going well. We also know that they just changed a little bit of the rules on credentialing. They're using subject matter instead of just the examination. So if you are at a math teacher, say, which is, the hardest CSAT to pass, and you're having trouble passing it, or you have enough math units, it seems to be a one-shot deal on a document, and they're able to push them through, which is a really nice feature. We know a discussion of the substitutes again. The substitute situation has limited what we can do with observations, but because Lancaster School District is amazing, and we just roll with the punches and keep going. We've changed our plan. We'll be using our swivels and our iPads, and candidates will be video themselves teaching a lesson. It will only be watched by them and their mentor. And instead of an observation, we're going video, which actually really works well because a lot of the tools we've learned through our instructional coaching with Jim Knight is about utilizing those videos, because when Krista made my partner Michelle and I do it, it was uncomfortable to watch yourself, and you learn a lot more watching yourself than you do having somebody come to watch you. So I'm really looking forward to see how this impacts our program. Again, we have a mentor shortage. We're trying. We ask everybody all the time, whoever we think might be willing. And then again, we have a site visit coming up. So if you see us running around with our hair on fire, you'll know why. And that's the end. Thank you very much. Any questions?
I think we can give them a round of applause now. Thank you, ladies. Wonderful presentation, and I love that picture, the CIA. So, Mr. Nguyen, that concludes those two presentations, and now it's time for some sips of fun, and that's our single plan for school achievement. So we have school plans presentations from 4 schools this evening. It looks like Dr. Goins.
So first of all, I want to thank the board for giving the opportunity for the schools to be able to provide this opportunity to really be able to provide an understanding of what's going on with their school plans. I got to tell you, our principals have been working unspeakably hard over the last few weeks. I think we can all recognize that, and have done so for the last year and a half, and have been working extremely hard throughout most of their careers. Tonight, you're going to have the opportunity to build upon the work that we started at the last meeting. The last meeting, you'll remember, we got to see El Dorado, Discovery, we got to see Jack Northrup, and we also got to see Lincoln provide an understanding of what's going on with their school plans and how they're enacting the new, all the new pieces that are going into this COVID-19 situation in the school, and how they're working this out to be able to be the best possible situation for their kids. Tonight, I'd like to say for those 4 schools, they set the bar extremely high, and you'll know that everybody will be understanding that on text, that whole night, that was what was being said, was that these people were setting the bar extremely high, and they did a great job doing so. So today, we're going to have the opportunity to see and understand and get a deep understanding of what's going on in 4 more schools within Lancaster School District. We're going to start off with the Leadership Academy. Then we're going to move in to Nancy Corey Elementary School, who's going to talk a little bit about their visual and performing arts and what's going on with their particular program. Then we're jumping into Mariposa to talk a little bit about their computer science program, but not just that, but what they're doing with literacy and early literacy. And then we're going to move into Sierra Elementary School, and they're going to be able to provide us with a deep understanding of the work that they're doing with their grouping. So with that said, we're going to start us off with the Leadership Academy. Ms. Porter, you are up with your team.
Okay, good evening to our school board members and Sandy, Price, and Spirit. And good evening to our cabinet members. My name is Kim Porter, and I'm the principal of the Leadership Academy. And I am so happy to be here in this context to share what's going on at our school. I think this is a fabulous way to do it. And I'm going to go on and get started. All right, so I'd like to start off by introducing our instructional leadership team. That picture looks so sterile with those masks on, but we are a lively group. And most of us are in the picture. We're just missing our site instructional coach in the picture, Miss Christy Hazard, and one of our teachers, Brianna Told. In bold are the teachers who are here today to present with me, but I would like to recognize our entire team. So we have Jana Carrillo, Christy Hazard, Nathan Herrera, Angela Mercer, Michelle Ramirez, Brianna Tolles, and Keisha White. And so if you look at the makeup of our team, we're an eclectic group for such a small school, but it takes all of us. It takes this village to make sure that we're doing everything that we can do for our young students. So all of us will be presenting something today. So I'd like to move on and hand over the mic to Miss Carrillo, who will be talking to us about who we are.
Evening, everyone. When we became the Leadership Academy, we chose the Wolf Pack to become our mascot because of what the Wolf Pack symbolizes. A wolf pack is a complex unit consisting of siblings, extended family members, as well as other pack members. A wolf pack allows for function of emotional bonding and
cooperative learning. The PAC structure teaches and enables communication, educates the young, and transfers that knowledge across generations. A PAC also passes on PAC culture by sharing strategies, knowledge, and the ability to adapt to life changes. We also included the lone wolf. The lone wolf is that independent one who is driven to find their own path in life. They're searching for a place to fit in. They're able to succeed once they find the right path, and they help to make that pack stronger. We connected the wolf pack with our vision by having the Leadership Academy be part of the complex unit that make up that pack. We are the members of the pack. As part of this complex unit, we will create bonds and relationships to pass on the pack culture so that our students will have the necessary knowledge, strategies, and abilities to adapt to change and in order to be successful in life. We also connected the wolf pack to our mission. The Leadership Academy accepts all wolves, especially the lone wolves, into the pack. We are a pack where everyone can fit in. Through our acceptance, students will become educated academically, socially, and emotionally. They will learn to communicate and work and live cooperatively. They will become the new leaders of the pack and share their knowledge with others.
Here, I'd like to introduce you to Miss Angela Mercer, who will talk to you about our story.
Over the course of the last 5 years, the Leadership Academy has seen many changes. Crossroads evolved into the Leadership Academy, the Ambassador Program and its progress, just to name a couple. But our ultimate goal has been to shape the lives of some of the most vulnerable and behaviorally challenged students in the district. Typically, our 2nd to 8th grade students have been unsuccessful on comprehensive campuses, often because of behavioral, disciplinary, and mental health needs. For the 21-22 school year, we are an alternative education school of choice. We understand that families often know better than we do about the challenges their children face. At the Leadership Academy, we believe deeply in the following statement. The structured, safe environment of the Leadership Academy, grounded in service and leadership, is a natural choice for our families seeking a place for their children to build confidence and gain resilience.
Thank you. Now we're going to move on into our root cause analysis with Christy Hazard, our site instructional coach.
Thank you. The instructional leadership team analyzed attendance, pre-pandemic suspension rates, iReady assessment data, and youth.
I'm sorry, Christy, can you speak a little closer into the mic, please? There we go. Thank you.
The instructional leadership team analyzed attendance, pre-pandemic suspension rates, iReady assessment data, and youth truth survey data. Findings revealed a case of the highs and lows. High chronic absenteeism at 45%, high suspension rates at 42%, low iReady diagnostic scores, 0% meeting the standard in ELA and math, below average youth truth belonging. All signs point to the lack of student engagement. The theory of action: if the Leadership Academy implements project-based learning pedagogy with standards-aligned projects that are supported by research-proven instructional strategies like small group instruction, we will improve students' overall attitudes towards education, keeping them engaged. This will lead to lower chronic absenteeism and suspension rates with increased academic success. Our signature practice for project-based learning, which I feel very privileged to be starting at TLA while we're starting project-based learning. Our goal 1, strategy 2, our PBL implementation is tied to the district's priorities of PLCs, PBIS, and standards-based instruction. and will be monitored by achievement of learning outcomes based on student work samples and informal data collection from teachers focused on student presentation skills, student collaboration, student voice, dialogues, discussion, and problem-solving skills. We will also utilize student and teacher survey data focused on needs and successes, SEL data from student focus groups, and results of iReady assessments. All data will be accessible to report as an update to the board in the spring.
Okay, and so our goals, it looks like we have a little bit of technical difficulty there, but it's okay. Our staff will be trained in project-based learning pedagogy with the goal of student leaders acquiring deeper knowledge of content standards through active and inquiry-based learning. And this is our new goal for the 21-22 school year. We'll also be expanding on small group instruction, but this time our site goal, our signature practice had been small group instruction over the last 2 years, and now we're having a greater focus on data-informed practices and decision-making in order to differentiate for effective tiered support, which is a little different where we started over the last 2 years. We'll continue our educator training sessions aligned with teacher training to provide resources and strategies to utilize in support of student learning. And a little background information, all of our classrooms have paraeducators, so it's really good to be able to make sure that they're also trained. This is monitored by our iReady ELA and math data, classroom walkthroughs, formative assessments, and data reviews through our PLCs and our Youth Truth stakeholder data. Our our goal 2 is culture is training and professional development on the purpose of integrated and designated ELD and the needs of English and standard English learners. We find at the Leadership Academy, we typically only have maybe 2% of English learners, but we have a number of standard English learners, which are students who are typically English only or initially fluent, but at home, they are not learning the structures of English. And so it's important to make sure that they're also understanding the English language. And so we'll also provide tools for successful implementation. We will recognize the needs of English learners and standard English learners by utilizing close reading strategies, sentence frames, stems with explicit academic vocabulary, and accountable talk strategies. And this is monitored by admin and ILT walkthroughs and classroom observations, iReady reading data, reviewed monthly, our LPAC data, EL formative assessments, Youth Truth stakeholder data, and elevation data. Our site goal 3 in climate is to increase attendance rates and lower chronic absenteeism by focusing on student belonging as evidence in the Youth Truth data. This will be accomplished by increased focus on CKH through the purchasing and use of CKH Premium for all of our teachers, intentional and intense focus on social emotional learning, project-based learning to increase engagement, and after-school activities to encourage social interaction. We purchased a program called Ripple Effects, and it's a program that helps students to learn different behavioral strategies. We utilize this during our lunchtime character lab to support positive behavior instruction as an alternative to suspension. And then also each of our students come in with a differentiated learning plan or support plan where we set goals for behavior. We also set goals for academics and attendance, but specifically behavior that are revisited quarterly or as needed. We monitor climate through 828 attendance data, Power School attendance data, abolish chronic truancy, through SART and SARB, Youth Truth stakeholder data, Who Knew It program, analysis of our SWIFT data, and numbering our major office referrals. And finally, goal 4 is engagement. And within engagement, we'd like to strengthen our family and community partnerships through the use of our family ambassador to support an increase in family involvement through School Site Council, English Learner Advisory Committees, our African American Action Council, and our parent partners. The Leadership Academy will increase communication and improve relationships between home and school by offering quarterly engagement nights that connect families with our signature practice of project-based learning. And we will continue our family FaceTime, which are monthly meetings that connect families to information and community resources, and also our staff CKH refresher. We will have to address the Youth Truth Family Survey on, and that should be climate. We found that our climate scores are pretty low on our Youth Truth Family Survey.
And this is monitored by our Youth Truth Family data, back to school night and open house attendance rates, FaceTime and family engagement nights and attendance, student and family focus group data, and our family survey and needs assessment data. All right. I hope I got through in 10 minutes. Probably a little over. I get the loquacious award. Is that the right word? Because I talk too much sometimes. Are there any questions for me?
So I always, while you're giving your presentation, I also balance that off to what I see on your web pages. How do students earn Howl tickets?
Ooh, Howl tickets. So our students earn Howl tickets a number of different ways, but really it's showing that they have respect, they own their actions, they work and play safely, and they lead by example. And so when we see that students are following their PBIS expectations, they earn Howl tickets. And we're still using Class Dojo to house our tickets because we started with this digital system and kept with it, and it works really well. And on Friday, we have Student Store, and it's all a digital student store where students go in and purchase things at the, what do we call it? The Leadership Academy Amazon page, or the Counselor's Amazon page. That's what our kids call it. So. Are there any more questions? Thank you.
How is the cafeteria and all that working for you?
Oh, all of our beautiful enhancements are working great. Our cafeteria is tiny. It's a cafe. It's really small, but our students enjoy it. We have 4 students to a table during the different lunch periods. So, but it's working perfectly fine. And we really enjoy that. Our library is also everything. All of our enhancements are working well. Our newest enhancement though is our music room. And so this year we have a new music teacher, and she has enriched our students already in just 2 weeks. And they love going to music class. They're learning so much, and our parents are so excited. So, yeah, everything is wonderful. Thank you.
How many kids do you guys have on your campus now?
Whew, right now,
Roughly. I know it varies.
I haven't looked at the numbers lately, but we're
give me a
between
ballpark.
50 and 55 right now.
Very nice.
On the TLA side, and Rise, we're still hovering at 6. We need kids. I know some of us are saying, okay.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for us? Okay. Well, thank you very much for your ear today. I appreciate it. Great job, TLA.
Thank you.
And the Wolfpack. Thank you. And I believe our next school was Nancy Corey. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Thank you, board members. Thank you for allowing us this opportunity to come and present to you tonight and get started here. So here's, these are the names of our Nancy Corey School Instructional Leadership Team. Tonight I have with me Sandy Holman and Brenda Heckathorn. And then also our other team members are Kelly Upaw, Carmela Walsh, Debbie Clark, Kelly Miller, Ruth Nettlehorst, Megan McCafferty, Victoria Credo, and Jenny Morawski. And they're well represented. All of these people represent the variety of positions we have at our school. We have Brenda Heckathorn's resource teacher, Sandy Holman's an instructional coach. We have teachers from Illinois from kindergarten up to 5th grade. We have our intervention teacher there. We have people, our PBIS coach. So everybody's got a part of what's important at Nancy Corey School in there. I also just want to take a real quick moment and especially thank Sandy and Brenda for being here after working a long, hard day and being able to come here and take the time. And Brenda's going to speak to a couple things as we go along. So thank you. So our mission statement at Nancy Corey School is high quality standards-based instruction, and we incorporate the visual and performing arts. So everything that we do, we incorporate visual performing arts. We do the art, we do our visual arts, performing arts. We have music. All of our lessons are designed to incorporate those into our lessons so that our students can just get that extra enhanced instruction and give them something a little bit more forward to looking forward to each day to come to school to be part of their education. And I also want to say that our motto at Nancy Corey School is "Our School, Our Kids." And so you're going to see a common theme throughout this presentation tonight. The way that we're trying to unite so that and promote that all the students at Nancy Corey School belong to all of us. And it's the days of teachers just going into their classroom and teaching and kind of doing their own thing is over. And they're all of our kids. And we're going to especially show that to you when we talk about some of the progress we made towards our special education students. So these are our goals for 21-22. And I'm going to kind of just read what they are, and then we'll expand upon them as we go along. You're going to see how these goals expand. But for English language arts, Nancy Corey wants to increase the percentage of our students meeting or exceeding the standards of English language arts on the CASP from 39 to 45. And we want to increase mathematics from 22 to 27. So that's our academic goal. And again, we're going to expand upon that and what that's going to look like. Our cultural goal is to increase the amount of students becoming proficient in English language development by 1.5% over the school in the school year, as measured by the English language progress indicator. And VAPA will support and increase the summative and formative assessment scores by 10% for students in grades TK through 5 in each subgroup, and will increase CASP scores by 5%, scoring above proficient in order to meet the safe harbor requirement in English language arts and math. So that's going to be part of our culture goal. Our climate goal is to increase our attendance by 0.5. Traditionally, we've had a pretty good attendance at Nancy Corey School. I don't know about this year, but we've had pretty good attendance at Nancy Corey School, but we always are looking to increase the attendance at the school. And we also, at the same time, want to decrease our suspensions in all subgroups and continue to ensure safe and welcoming environment. So we've got a lot of incentives built into increasing our attendance and getting students at school. That's the most important part. And I think part of increasing attendance is giving them, again, opportunities that are not just to come and learn at school, but also to have those enhancement opportunities for the students. And then for our climate goal, all Nancy Corey School parents and community partnerships will show an increased engagement of stakeholders via participation in school events. Nancy Corey has a really rich tradition of people coming to things and showing up. And whenever we have something, we get a full crowd. So that's something that we have really rich tradition for. And we're always looking for ways to increase that. Regular school year, we'd almost monthly have something for our parents and families to be able to participate in and kind of be feel part of the school. All right. So as our ILT team, this has been actually a good 5-year process since we started with the multi-tier supports at Nancy Corey School, and it's transitioned into these are our academic gold standards or standards-based instruction. So these are the main things that we're focusing on. Everything's kind of built around these things. Is Walk to Learn, which is flexible ability-based grouping, small group instruction, and test line practices. So we did a root cause analysis. Our team did a root cause analysis to kind of look at different observations, what's going on, what are our beliefs and structures, what kind of possible responses could we have. And what we had come to realize is something kind of basic and kind of obvious, but good first instruction is so important. And we want to have targeted intervention, and intervention is important, but you got to have that good first instruction piece in place. So that you can, with the intervention, then you're just catching the ones that kind of had a hard time with their first instruction. So we're really, really focusing, and you're going to see this again later. We're really focusing on tier 1, which is that good first instruction. Tier 2, which is some intervention for some, and then tier 3, which is intervention for very few that just needs some extreme intervention. So our theory of action with this is to focus on instructional clarity, focus on small group instruction throughout the day. Not just in tier 3 or tier 2, but actually in tier 1 in the good first instruction, we should have small group instruction going on at the same time too. Flexible ability groups and test line practices. So making sure that all of our quizzes and all of our assessments and all of our checking for understandings are aligned to the test practices of good testing, being able to be ready for that. So our signature practice is instructional clarity. So again, we focus on standards-based instruction. So that's the tier one, is that just really good focus on the delivery and the importance of the delivery of that first instruction. Then also during tier one, we have we're doing small group instruction every day. So teachers are expected to do small group instruction with students. We have our flexible ability grouping. We call that walk to learn. And under the best circumstances, the way of doing that is, for example, let's say you have 4 classes in the grade level. And during the 45 minutes to an hour a day, what happens is you might have a group that's a little bit lower, that's kind of a lower group that needs just really extra help with maybe vocabulary development, maybe in the lower grades with some phonemic, phonics and phonemic support. Then maybe you have a kind of a middle low group that, again, probably needs some vocabulary, or needs some good writing strategies, things like that. Then kind of a medium high group, and then a high group that maybe is ready for some extension activities. And so what they would do is they would walk to learn. They would go to a different teacher during that time, and the teacher would be able to deliver that instruction, that specialized instruction for those students at their ability level. And in the classes where the students maybe need more support, you have extra people in there. So we have an aide in there. We have our resource teacher pushing into there. We have our English language, our English, our ELD aide in there. So you're giving some extra support where it's needed for the students that need that. And then, of course, our test line practices. The test line practices weave throughout all of the tiers. That's important for the students to be able to have the skills to do well on the test. So I'm going to give Brenda Heckathorn a moment here, because we want to really talk about one of our big focuses this year. We're going to do it. We were starting with it last year and the year before, but COVID kind of put it on hold a little bit. But it's the idea that special education is a service and not a place.
That slide came up rather quickly. But like David said, special education is a service, it's not a place. And we want to be able to help our students in whatever location that they're at. At Betsy Corey, we've been doing our push-in service for 7 years now. So we're ready for the next step. And about 2018, I'm in working with Becky Witzel. She said there's another way to service our special ed students, and right there, put us in. So we wanted to be the pilot school for that type of movement. So she was able to work with our campus and seeing a vision and a different capacity to help our special ed students. Part of that is you'll see some new terminology at the bottom of that circle. SAI, Special Academic Instruction. At one time, we eradicated that term STC on our campus, and it's slowly kind of making its way back, but we're hoping to kick it out the door one more time. Because we are a service, not a place. Which one do I push to get to the next slide? Oh. I do. Okay, but how do I get to the next slide? Okay, I'll come back when it's my turn again. Okay.
Yeah. And just thank you, Brenda. And just a quick point on that, with special education, looking at it as a service and not a place, is that we're looking at doing it at Nancy Corey School, where it's not that we have our special education kids in this particular spot right here, and we just kind of let them go and do their thing, and we kind of work with them there. But we're looking at them to have a place in the classroom, in the general education classroom, a seat in the classroom. We're not pulling them out to go to resource. We are not pulling them out to go to speech as much as we can. So we're trying to do as much as we can in the general education classroom. And we're changing the terminology. We don't want to call it our special day class students. We want to call them our special academic instructional students. So there's not that, oh, you're in the day class and there you go, that's what you're at. So thank you, Brenda. So our three, going now to our gold standards. The first one that we have is small group instruction. So every teacher will incorporate into their schedule teacher-led flexible small group instruction with their students at least 4 days a week for a minimum of 45 to 60 minutes into their schedule. And this is the good first instruction piece right here. So they need to be doing small group instruction during that good first instruction. So all teachers will implement small group instruction for ELA math. Small group is 3 to 5 students. Anything more than that is really not a small group. And all students will have access to small group instruction. Some might use it. They might be going there one day, but maybe not the next day, but it's as needed. Students not in the small group should be doing high quality standard-based activities. And this last year has kind of taught us, this last year and a half has kind of taught us that we can give them some high quality activities to do and not just like centers or something like that, but something that's really academic, something on the computer, something that's academic. And with the being able to bring in our, the aides, we can have somebody else working with students while the teacher's working with small groups. And it must be occurring 4 to 5 times per week. So these are must-dos. They must establish routines and expectations. They need to have time to collaborate with the grade levels to establish high-quality standards, time to collaborate with grade levels to discuss foundational reading activities and high-quality learning activities, share the schedule. Our schedules are shared with each other, and we need to use best practices with the extra support of staff on campus. I'm not going through this whole thing, but this is for your reading pleasure later on. But what this does at the end of each of our gold standards, we talk about what the statement of practice is. What does that gold standard look like in practice? What are our action sets and any action steps, and then any notes that go along with that we want someone who looks at this to know. So the next gold standards are flexible ability groups, which we call walk to learn. For this, every teacher collaborates and participates in developing data-driven flexible ability groups by grade level using the walk to learn model, providing high quality learning experiences for 30 to 50 minutes, 4 or 5 days a week. And it depends on the grade level. Some lower grade levels is 30, upper is 50. Every student will have access to support from participation in data-driven flexible ability groups by grade level using the walk to learn model. And what we do is we take a look at our iReady scores and other assessments, and that's how we determine what flexible group they're in. And the cool thing about the flexible group is it's flexible. So just because you might be in one group for a little while, you might work your way into another group, or depending on the focus of the group, you're going to have different students in there at a different time. And we're going to be running those basically on 4 to 6 week sessions and throughout the year. And then we're going back, looking at the data, seeing who needs to be in the next group as we go along. So again, every teacher and every student is part of this. We use the iReady data, our BPST, other formative classroom assessments, and instructions based on grade level upon standards. We're focusing this year on writing, because we noticed that the last couple of years, that's something that wasn't done a lot. It's kind of hard to do that when you're giving that really great writing practice online. And so we're really going to focus on the writing, and that also helps with other language arts aspects of language arts. We're looking at 3 to 5 week units based on the standards that are being taught. And like I said, we're supporting English language arts with that. So all teachers in the grade level need to be teaching the same standards. Very important. Grade levels must agree on what the formative assessments are, and all teachers must bring the assessment data to PLC meetings. So we're constantly looking at that data. And again, the groups are flexible. So then again, here's our statement of practice. The gold standard, what does it look like, the action steps, and the notes. And then the last of our gold standards is Tesling Practices. So every teacher will provide Tesling practice time at least once each week, and usually it's more. Beginning in January, our 3rd through 5th graders will provide this practice in the form of a IAB standards mastery assessments or performance tasks. And every student will participate in Tesling practices at least once a week. And then again, what does that look like? What is our statement of practice and gold standard and action steps? So again, just to reiterate our site goals, before I get to the end part, was there anything else that you want to talk about? I didn't actually, sorry, just the start part of it. Yeah. So again, so taking a look at our site goal 1, which is our academic goal, we look at and I just want to share this with you. What we do is my coach and I sit down with the teachers after the students do their initial iReady assessments and other beginning of the year assessments. And we sit down with each teacher. We take the time and sit down with them. And we set goals, and we talk about specific students, individual students. and we take a look at what those specific students' needs are, and we set goals for those students. And then we help the teacher monitor that. We help to teachers support the teacher throughout the year. And we do this at the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, and the end of the year. And these are some very powerful conversations because here we are able to talk about specific students and what specific things we can do to help specific students, and not just generalities like here's what we can do to help all of our students, but we're actually talking about human beings, specific human beings. So that's a big way that we're supporting our academic goal 1. And then again, our goal 2 was students becoming proficient in English language development. Our goal 3, this is a summary, is increasing daily attendance. And again, giving them those opportunities to be successful at school and have extension activities are the things that get them to want to be at school and come to school every day. And then continue to build that parent to community partnership so that we can have parents involved and supportive and be able to give them a great opportunity, great experience in Nancy Corey School. So that's the end of presentation. And any questions?
Okay, so I guess you're all learning my habit. I look at your webpage as you're giving your presentation and seeing if the two things link. And as the Academy of Visual and Performing Arts, you have been hammered by COVID the last 2 years. And so I would love to know what your ideas are for reemerging, or is it still kind of on hold because of COVID?
Diane, that's a really good question, guys. I think that's one of the things that has give us the most angst because being with people and doing things is such a big part of what Nancy Corey has always been about. And like I said, when we do things, we get everybody there. We got to the point where we were doing an end of year musical and production, and we had to do 3 nights because there was just too many people. And we would do 3 nights of performances, each different grade or different classes in each grade level doing different nights. We're definitely in the process of rethinking what that's going to look like under the circumstances. We want to get back to it. We want, our ballroom dance coach is ready to do that again. I mean, we're all ready, and we've been having the conversations about what it could look like, but we're just got to be careful at this point. We just have to be cautious, and we have plans for when we're able to emerge from that. Absolutely. Unfortunately, one of our teachers who has done the productions retired last year. So we're gonna reinvent that and see what that looks like and come up with another way of doing some kind of production at the end of the year. It might look just a little bit differently than we would traditionally have done, but we're looking at doing it. And then being able to integrate some of those things in the classroom is important too.
One thing I found here on your website that I haven't seen anywhere else, it's Mr. Denning's bedtime stories. And I was so touched. I watched a couple of them, and I thought to myself, maybe there's an opportunity too for the kids to do that as well, and then get that performance thing in and still maintain the COVID issue. So, but I have to tell you, I was very touched by your bedtime stories.
Thank you, Diane. Honestly, I think that was more for me than for anybody, because I just felt I just needed to have a way to stay connected with my students in some way, and thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. I remember being read to by my dad at night.
Great.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Nancy Corey and bedtime stories. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job, team. And our next presentation comes from Mariposa. And I want to say thank you to everyone for their patience this evening. We know that these can take a little more time, but the information is so valuable. So thank you very much for your patience and for the information you're sharing this evening.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Executive Cabinet. Good to be here. I miss Sandy Price, so I want to recognize that. Please know that I have a smile under this mask to be here to share. Mr. Gold and I to share 10 minutes of fun in the sun about the great Mariposa Computer Science Magnet School, where our students are thinkers, doers, coders, and leaders. We have an instructional leadership team that consists of myself, Mr. Gold, our new instructional coach, Ms. Hickman, Gata Marino, who is a TKK teacher, and she represents first grade as well, and Maria Monaco, our third grade teacher, representing second and third grade, and Miss McLeod, representing fourth grade, Stephanie Hernandez, fifth and sixth, and Miss Tracy Wilcox, representing our special ed department. That is our great team that also is representative of teachers and staff who are working very hard to make great things happen. As you know, the board, you're very familiar with our school and our computer science focus. So just know that we are continuing that work. We are dedicated to preparing our students to be critical and innovative thinkers as they problem solve. We want to teach them the trait of perseverance. And the tool that we use to do that, one of the tools is block-based coding or Scratch, of which you've been to our school and seen all three of our epic builds. And we plan to continue those. But just know that these young students are entering the pathway to success into computer science or coding, network engineers, wherever they need to be. It all starts with the young mind that we're teaching a growth mindset, teaching them to persevere, teaching them that with that growth mindset that failure is an option. I mean, can you imagine telling an 8-year-old they have to be perfect? That would be unhealthy. So just know that these are the traits we are cultivating, because many of our students may not seek to be coders. They may seek to be doctors, lawyers, mechanics. But what they will need to know is how to read and write, and all those, and problem solve, and all those things that we'll provide at our school. So with that, I'd like to have Mr. Gold come up, and he's going to take us through our goals, which are aligned with the LCAP priorities.
All right. Well, thank you. The very first day I met Mr. Choate, I sat in his office, and I think the very first thing he told me was, I looked at scores one day and students in fourth grade were struggling with reading. And I was like, all right, that's pretty intense for the first conversation, but that got us to our root cause analysis. And right away, so I knew right away, this is what he did. This was his passion. This is what he lived for. Like I said, he could have talked to me about anything else, but this is exactly what he talked to us about, or talked to me about. So, when we were talking, we said, well, why is that? And it was because the students did not have the fundamental reading skills. And again, we questioned that, and we found that there is a need for systematic reading instruction. And that led us to our signature practice of research-based reading instruction for every student. So that was the base of it. Now there's other things that we're working on, but this is one of the main focuses that we have. And so I was really excited when I had sat down with him, because this is what he lived for. And this is exactly what I live for too. I love the instructional part of administration. So our signature practice was a little bit different. It wasn't just one signature practice for everyone. What Mr. Choate did was he split it into two, and he looked at the needs of the students. So he took TK through third, and he looked at it, and he said that these kids need phonics and they need high frequency word instruction. And then he looked at fourth and sixth grade and said that they need vocabulary and reading comprehension skills. Now, that doesn't mean that our TK through third doesn't get vocabulary and comprehension skills, or our fourth through sixth don't get the fundamental phonics and high frequency words, but this is the focus of what he's doing. And this is the focus of what our teachers are doing. And so we look at like Scarborough's rope, and we realize that reading is such a complex activity. It's almost like the miracle that we get to experience here And we get to see all these things have to come together for a student to read. So our signature practice is making sure that we focus on these fundamental reading skills. And we're doing all that through small group instruction. So for us to be successful for our signature practice, we have to have a couple tools. One of the tools that we have is the SIPs, and this is different lessons and different progress monitoring system. So the teachers are able to teach different phonological awareness, phonics, sight word lessons. And then after, I think every 10 lessons, they get to evaluate the students to see, are they progressing? Are they making these benchmarks? Another thing that we just finished now was our BPST, and this showed us where the students were at. And so right now, all of this, the students, I believe, first through fourth grade took this assessment. So now we have a baseline score. Along with that fourth one down, the iReady, we do have the diagnostic tests that we are using to make sure that we're monitoring the students as they go along. One really neat thing about our school is we are part of the Getting Reading Right grant, and that is through LACO. And we, for this, it's really nice because it's not a program, but people come in and they teach our teachers how to teach fundamental reading skills. And so that is a really big thing because we're not relying on a program that, kids are clicking through. We're increasing the capacity of our teachers, and we're allowing them to become even stronger in their instructional needs. And another thing that we have at our school too is we also have an intervention teacher, and she works with our students who need that extra support. So she gives them that targeted intervention, and she works with our first through third grade students to make sure that they're really getting those fundamental skills. All of that weaves into our goals. And so our goal one, just like everyone else, is we want to increase that achievement in language arts and math. And one of the things that we use is we use the iReady diagnostic and the BPST. And that's really nice because the students are able, or the teachers are able to come together in their PLCs, and they're able to come up with a strategic response to the student needs by looking at that data. Last year, we had 26% proficiency in reading, and this year we're striving for 35%. And in math, we had 16%, and we're striving for 22%. And when I was looking at this at first, I was like, well, it kind of seems like math's left out. But for the past 3 years, our school has been focused in math. The teachers have been trained with Dr. Douglas. They've been going through lesson studies. So they have a really good foundation. And a lot of the skills that we're learning with the small group instructions can be put into that math group. So we can start to see the math interventions, and we can take a lot of those skills that will transfer. Our second goal is we want to make sure we increase the reading for our language learner students. One way that we're doing this is looking through that iReady diagnostic, but they also have access to all that fundamental reading skills. And not only that, but they also have 30 minutes of a designated ELD time every single day. So these students get instruction at where they're at in their language development skills, and we're moving those kids up. Last year, there was a 10% proficiency in reading, and this year we're striving for 20%. Our goal 3, we want to make sure that we're providing a safe, a positive learning environment, and we're doing this by implementing PBIS, Capturing Kids' Heart, Second Step, and Kelso's Choice. PBIS is just a way of teaching the students' expectations and responding when the students do not get them. So we intervene on there to help them learn those expectations that we have. Capturing Kids' Hearts helps create a positive relationship between the students and the staff, and it also helps the students monitor and redirect their own behavior by answering the 4 questions when they're doing something they're, probably shouldn't be doing. Second Step is our social emotional learning curriculum, and that ranges from everything from goal setting to anger management. And Kelso Choices is for our primary grades. They're for kindergarten through 3rd, and they get to learn how to solve little problems, so they don't have to keep coming to adult for those questions or for those problems. So there's not a lot of tattling that goes on. Now we're going to be monitoring all these through the ODRs, because if we implement all these, there shouldn't be a lot of office referrals. So we're going to be monitoring that through our Swiss program. Our 4th goal is increasing family and community engagement. And one of the really nice things about Mariposa is that we have a workshop called Parenting Partners. And what they get to do is they train our staff on how to teach parents the skills that they can use at home to help with their children. And so after they go through a training, they are able to present this workshop. We've done it digital, or we've done it virtually. We've done it in person in the years past. And I think it was like 30, Mr. Cho was telling me like 30 parents have gone through this already. And so what they do is they go through 6 2-hour classes, And it's over a 6-week period. They get a little certificate, they become an alumni, but then we're hoping to get those parents into our schools to help support the literacy. So not just the parents coming to volunteer to help out with making copies or any of that. We want them to support our literacy, maybe reading to the kid, having small groups. And we know right now that that's not something that we can do, but looking towards the future, that's what our main goal is. And, monitoring things through the Youth Truth Survey. Our students have a lot, and our teachers, our students have a lot at their fingertips, and our teachers are trained in a lot of things. So I started going through and trying to see, what does Mariposa have that we use? And this is not an exhaustive list. Every time I go back to it, I keep adding more and more. That word cloud is getting, used over and over again. But we have a lot of things that our students have at their fingertips. There's targeted intervention. There's code for the future. There's Minecraft coding. There's community circles. We have trauma-informed training, counseling groups. So there is a lot that we have to offer our students. It would just take a long time to go through every single one of these. But our teachers are trained in all of these too. And with all of these, it just leads to a whole bunch of happy students who are excited to come to school every day. They're happy to learn. They're happy to be there. And so these are all these kids that I find during lunch and recess, and every single one of them has a smile on their face. All right, so that's Mariposa in a nutshell. Any questions?
I love your Facebook page.
I can't take credit for it, but
I still love it.
Well, I love this last page on the PowerPoint with all the smiles. This is heartwarming. So,
they were super excited, and I even got the 6th graders, and they're like, "What's this for?" I'm like, "A presentation," and they were like, "All right," and they all jump into it.
Sign you up.
Yeah, they were happy.
Any other comments or questions from the board?
Keep up the good work, Mike.
Mariposa, great job. Thank you, Mr. Chope. Thank you, Mr. Gold. Very well done. And the team in blue bringing it home. Come on, bring the energy. Bring the energy. Thank you, Sierra School.
Well, I'm sorry to say, Michelle, we just ran out of time.
All right. Good evening, board and executive cabinet. And our thoughts for Ms. Price as she's not able to be with us. Thank you for hanging in there. I know you've all been patiently waiting, and I want to thank this team back here for staying it with me and sitting it out. Our shirts say teamwork makes the dream work, because that is really what we stand by at Sierra. And everything you're about to see is truly a testament to the work they've done and their commitment to our kiddos and our families, because this is really their show and the work that they do with our kids every day. All right, so here is our beautiful Sierra Elementary School. And I am Rebecca McConnell, the principal, proud principal, and I'm here with Mrs. Tara Ramirez, our assistant principal. Next slide, please. And so here's our instructional leadership team, and I'll let you know who's with us if you want to just wave if you're here, and then I'll let you know we have some other guests that have joined us for the evening as well. All right, so along with myself and Mrs. Ramirez, we have Mrs. Rojas, who's not with us this evening. She's our kindergarten representative. We have Ms. Sosa in 3rd grade, Mrs. Riggs, who is with us in 4th grade. We have Ms. Chavez, who is with us this evening in 1st grade. Ms. Nahara, who is our special education and resource specialist, who is not able to be with us. Ms. Sanchez, who's our interventionist, new position to our site this year, we'll talk about in a little bit. Ms. Rattel is 2nd grade, Mrs. Koch in 5th grade, and Ms. Philony, our fabulous instructional coach. And then I also have Ms. Barton, who teaches special education. I have Ms. Eaton, who is a kindergarten teacher, Ms. Holmes, who is our TKK combo teacher, Ms. Dank, who is a 5th grade teacher, and that is all of us. So we're a fabulous team, and I could not be any more blessed in the world to work with these amazing people. So I'm reminded every day how lucky I am. Next slide, please. So here's our vision and mission at Sierra. At Sierra Elementary, we believe in a school climate grounded in the love of learning that will inspire students to become lifelong problem solvers, as well as kind, respectful, and responsible members of our community. And so really, we just want our kiddos to leave us ready for the world that awaits them, both academically and social emotionally. Next slide, please. So we are a bit of a visual and a performing arts school. We do have a music program, which we are very blessed to have, and our teachers phenomenal. But really our focus this year is working toward our instruction. And so really increasing our inclusion opportunities for students with IEPs and working towards that least restrictive environment so that our students with IEPs have more time in a general education classroom with their peers. And we are moving towards that learning center model with our interventionist and our resource specialist. Next slide, please. So here's just some facts about Sierra. We have 594 students as of the time I did this slide. 25.9% of our students are African American, 56.9% Hispanic, 10.4% English language learners, 10.8% of our population is a special education service student, and 92.8% of our students are socioeconomically disadvantaged. Next slide, please. So we went under the same root cause analysis that you've heard so many times, but we really took a look at our iReady data and determined a need to target our tier 1 instruction. And through that, we really felt like our teachers needed work understanding the high priority standards, especially considering the troubles we've had with distance learning and our kids' loss of instructional time in the classroom with their teacher. And we want to address those high priority standards through effective planning with our PLC collaborative teams with a focus on teacher clarity. So through that process, our theory of action is if we engage students in rigorous tier 1 instruction on high priority standards and engage in high impact PLC, then every teacher will be effective and every student will achieve at high levels. Next slide, please. So our signature practice, as previously stated, is planning and delivering high quality tier 1 instruction. And so our goal is that our instruction is the best we can give that first time around, specifically focusing on the development of learning progressions, learning intentions, and success criteria. And this year, we're really working towards the use of common formative assessments to assess student mastery of those high priority standards. Next slide, please. So our signature practice fits into our site goal number 1, academic options and excellence. And so our goal is that all of our students will receive effective first instruction, that tier 1 instruction in all content areas on those high priority common core standards. And we're doing that work through the lens of collaborative teams. And so we underwent some work with Solution Tree, focusing on our PLC collaborative team work at Sierra, and have been building our collaborative teams through development of units based on high priority standards. The other thing we're adding in this year is that focus on small group instruction, and not saving small group instruction for tier 2 or tier 3, but actually embedding that small group instruction into our tier 1 time so that students are getting that in-time support that they need right after the teaching occurs. All right, next slide, please. Okay. So for our culture slide, we're working toward really embedding that 30 minutes designated ELD instruction and integrated ELD throughout the day. Our dream world would have students rotating for designated ELD, but we have made some choices, just like we have with our tier 2 instruction and modifying our walk to learn so that we're not mixing cohorts when not necessary, trying to keep our COVID quarantined kiddos to a limit and keep our teachers safe. However, we have been doing a lot of work with our teachers on embedding that designated ELD into their daily instruction via a small group setting. So Ms. Chavez, who is our fabulous EL chair, is going to go ahead and give you a little insight into what ELD looks like at our site.
Hi. So at Sierra, our designated ELD in a dream world, like Ms. McConnell said, would be where we rotate our groups so that we have our EOs in a space with the teacher where they can review and practice their academic skills while the identified designated English language learners are able to focus on their language skills and increasing their language proficiency so that they can meet the requirements of the LPAC assessment and reach reclassification. And then this also gives the opportunity for reclassified students to get continued support and practice in their language development so that as they reclassify and move on into the regular classroom setting where they no longer get designated instruction, they're still able to utilize those strategies and skills to help them reach the core curriculum.
All right, next slide, please. And to talk about our Site Goal 3 climate, I'm going to go ahead and have Mrs. Ramirez speak. Thank you. So for Site Goal 3, we knew that coming back after having students off campus for so long, we were going to have to really dedicate a lot of our energy and focus on climate and on teaching our students essentially how to be back at school. And so we have focused on 4 main components for climate on our PBIS, our second step instruction, capturing kids' hearts, and our playwork structure. So for PBIS, the focus of that program is essentially to teach positive behaviors of what we would like our students to see on campus. And this year, we're really trying to focus on that first word, positive. We have a positive ODR. Our amazing instructional coach has made golden tickets that we're using to highlight when students are just being awesome on campus. And, you know, it's one of those things when students have been at home and have been able to, you know, kind of go on their own schedule, their own structure. Coming back has been a challenge, but this has really supported them in that process and kind of helped all of us to get back in that groove, but still celebrate all of the amazing things that our students are doing on campus. For second step, that's our social emotional curriculum. And we have devoted a half an hour of our instructional time at the beginning of the day to our second step instruction. And so in every class, we do the first 30 minutes talking about social skills and problem solving skills and how to maneuver conflict on campus and how to be a good citizen and a good friend and all of those kinds of things. And we really try to weave all of the components of what we see on the yard and what we see throughout the day into that first block of instruction, because we know that that behavioral instruction is just as important as the core academic instruction. For CKH, this is how we build relationships with our students. And we're tying that even with our Student of the Month, where we're focusing on key character traits that CKH identifies with instructing our students of how do we have empathy with each other? How do we have integrity and things like that? And of course, we've modified some elements. Normally, we would shake hands when students come into our rooms, but we've modified that for safety purposes. But we always want our students to feel welcomed when they come onto campus and to know that we're here to support them emotionally as well as academically. And then Playworks is something that Sierra has had for 2 years, essentially. We got to start it before COVID happened, and we've brought it back full force now. And essentially, this is structured play where students are encouraged to play certain games that we have taught them. It's not just kind of a free play time on campus. We'll have 3 or 4 games, play equipment if it's not too hot. And students will play these different games and they learn the rules of games and they learn how to encourage each other if maybe they get out in the game, and how to kind of problem solve when there's conflict. And if they don't want to play, then they can sit and eat their snack. And we're working on even bringing things like board games and things like that for students to build relationships with each other. We've seen a ton of success with this. It provides structure to our playground. It's really reduced the amount of major ODRs that we're seeing written out on the playground. And students are really enjoying it. We have a couple of artifacts at the end of our presentation to show, but students love the games. They love playing together. We have junior coaches where the upper grades are kind of facilitating the games with the younger students, and they've really embraced that leadership role on campus. So we've really enjoyed that process. And then just to kind of sum up here, Sierra staff will implement strategies to build on educational environment that explicitly teaches desired behaviors and addresses social emotional learning on a daily basis. We will provide effective, high quality supervision and safety for students, staff, and families. And so again, at the beginning of the school year, this has really been our focus so that we're seeing kind of a decrease in behaviors and an ability for us to now move into that academic focus. Thank you. Next slide, please. And for our goal for just our engagement with our families and our community. And so we have been working with our parent advisory committees, trying to reestablish our PTO and working with our parenting partners. And one day, right, parent volunteers back on campus will be a wonderful thing. We actually have some wonderful parent involvement at Sierra. We're very lucky to have a lot of parents that attend our events, that join us for different fun activities. We've done a ton of virtual pet shows and we've tried to continue that just community spirit through virtual means, as difficult as it has been. So next slide, please, I believe is our video. And so this first video, I'm going to go ahead and let Mrs. Riggs, fabulous fourth grade teacher, introduce it. Hi, my name is Jennifer Riggs, fourth grade. Here you will see a video of my students in fourth grade discussing their social contract, which goes along with our goal 3 for climate. And so our students are just basically discussing their social contract and reviewing as they do every day. And then we have our raters and so forth. This has become a part of our daily classroom routine in the morning. Go ahead.
Like that. We can always change, right? Bad behavior choice can always become a great behavior choice. I love that. Thank you for saying that we can always look at our social contract to remind us of how to act. Amazing.
And then we have one other short clip just of our Playworks in action with our junior coaches. And so you'll see the students in purple are our junior coaches that went through a special training with the Playworks company itself. And so this is them out leading structured play at recess.
As a junior coach, we have the game. If they don't understand them, I just don't understand the game. And we just watch them, make sure that they believe in it. Teach them to be kind at all times, stop safe, and no running on the play equipment just in case they get hurt. And then, like she said, we teach them to play games.
And that little one in the white shirt is my own baby, who is a first grader at Sierra Elementary School, and loves it and is in Ms. Chavez's class. And so not only am I the proud principal of Sierra Elementary School, but I am also a proud parent. And I just want to thank this amazing team for making my job the best job in the world. So, yes, it does. And we would love to answer any questions you may have for us.
It's so good to see the whole team here.
And matching shirts. I'm turning the school into a sorority house.
Planning any more drive arounds?
Yes. So last year, and Mr. Wynn was able to be with us, we did a Halloween parade. And it was a fantastic success. It went way past the time limit we had done, but just everyone came out and it was wonderful. And so I think we'll probably do that again. So you'll have to join us. And it was fantastic. The costumes were just, you can't even believe what those kids came dressed up as. I think I have makeup artists in my families at school. So,
well, and what was so amazing to me was the diversity of the neighborhoods that you went through, of your students, your families. It was just fantastic.
oh yes, because you
And the
joined us for
people
our
came
teacher
out.
parade.
And the people just came out for it and clapped and cheered. And it was a lot of fun.
Mr. Wynn drove through our teacher parade as well, so it was fun. It was a good time. So thank you for always being there for our events. We appreciate it.
Was my car the only one that got thrown eggs at?
I don't know who threw those eggs, but it wasn't one of us. We promise.
He's our kid at heart.
Thank you.
Sierra, great job. Great job. Thank you. And teamwork does make the dream work. Thank you so much for hanging in there. Wonderful presentation.
Yeah, great job. All the presentations, excellent programs.
And great job to the board for hanging in there. So that does conclude our SIPSA presentations and as well as our other presentations this evening. Thank you.
Well, to all of the principals, thank you very much for doing that, for making these presentations. I know it took a lot of time. I know a couple of the principals I interrupted while they were doing it. And I apologize, but you did, all of you did a great job. Thank you very much. So we'll move on to number 14. Adoption of a resolution 2021-22 for
Mr. Wynn,
compensation.
I'm sorry, Mr. Wynn, a little closer to your mic, please.
Board member compensation
Thank
for
you.
Sandra Price. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Keith Giles, second by Diane Groom. Any comment? With that, I'll have a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. No nays. Vote passes 4-0. Number 15. I wonder if we could put these together.
Unfortunately, for the school plans, unfortunately, I take that back. We cannot put it together this evening, but in the future, I'm happy to put it under consent agenda items if the board is willing to accept it that way. Moving forward, we'll just list them as consent agenda items.
Well, that's okay because we can say thank you to all of them. So I make a motion for number 15A to approve the school plan for Discovery School.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Diane Groom, second by Greg Teepee. Any discussion? With none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No nays, vote passes 4-0. 15B, approval of school plan for El Dorado School for the 2021-22 school year.
So moved.
Moved Keith Giles,
Second.
second Greg Teepee. Any discussion? With none, all in favor say aye.
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 Vote passes 4-0. Approval for school plan for Jack Northrup School for 2021-2022 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Moved Diane Groom, second Greg Teepee. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Vote passes 4-0. And approval of school plan for Lincoln School for the 2021-22 school year.
So moved.
Moved by Mr.
Second.
Tupi, second by Keith Child. Can I have a vote? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Vote passes 4-0. Approval of agreement with Newsella.
Newsella.
So moved.
So moved by Greg Teepee,
Second.
second by Ms. Grooms. You know, a little bit of information about the Newsella. I know there's a little bit of information, but
We did provide some support information, but we came prepared to kind of give you an overview as well. So, Mr. Hoffman?
Yeah, so I'm excited to share this with the board tonight. Because this is something our teachers have been using for a couple of years now with the pre-accounts. Rebecca and I both get emails from the vendor saying, you know, you have a lot of teachers using this program. You ever considered using it district-wide? And we really didn't have funding at the time to consider it, but we know the need was there, and we know why, because there is no perfect curriculum out there. So teachers look to supplement the curriculum to enhance what they're teaching their students. And when you go to the internet, you're not always guaranteed to find something that's quality, something that maybe is in the reading level of the students. It may be too long, too short. So it's just not always appropriate for the students, but the teacher has to find something to supplement, and they oftentimes just take what they can find. Well, Newsella, working with the top leaders in publishing, have created content to support curriculum and events that are going on in the world that are at the student level. And they create these pieces at 5 different reading levels in both English and Spanish. So no matter where the student's reading level is in the class, they can still access the same content because it's written at those different levels for the students. So that's very helpful as we consider how we can make sure we're still teaching standards-based instruction levels, but accommodating the reading levels we may have with our students. So it's standards aligned. It's, like I say, both in language, Spanish and English, and it's vetted. So we know that it's quality that the students would be getting. And this would give us an opportunity to offer this for our science, our social studies, language arts, and in our social emotional learning curriculum to give teachers resources that they've been asking for and using at the free level account. So this would give us an ability to offer that to all of our teachers K-8, but we're going to really target our 2nd through 8th grade over the next 2 years with this purchase.
Greg?
So the price, 2 years for the whole district?
Yes, that would be for the 2 years for the district. Mm-hmm.
Is that pretty comparable to like other like reading programs?
Well, it's different than other just typical reading programs. And I don't know if there's another product that, what other product would be comparable to this type of
There are
system?
some other products like Achieve 3000 and some of those that work to provide content as well at different levels. This one has a wider swath of content for us, and has been something that we've seen teachers using and teachers asking us if we could get it at some point. So this is a good opportunity for us to provide something that.
And as far as price comparison, this is comparable to
Yes.
those types of programs, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And it also does track, you can track this amount of
The usage.
of students and how well they're understanding. So the comprehension, it gives teachers data on the work that they're assigning the students as well.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion, question? That, all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. No nays. Vote passes 4-0. 16, individual action items, human resource. Approval of provisional internship permit for the 21-22 school year for for individuals. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. EP, second by Keith Giles. Any comments? With that, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. No negative. Vote passes 4-0. Approval of variable term waiver for the 21-22 school year for one teacher. May I have a motion?
I'll move.
Moved by Mr. Giles,
Second.
second by Mr. TP. Discussion? With that, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. No negative. Vote passes 4-0. Consent agenda item 17. Approval of the minute. I'm sorry. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Grooms,
I'll second.
second by Keith Giles. Any comments? Well, we should have hip hooray for the school's first credit union for a $2,500 donation to the schools.
Ice cream break.
What's that?
It's an ice cream break for the teachers.
Is that what it is?
Yep.
Perfect then. We have the teachers that will get an ice cream break out of all of this.
I believe that's what it is. I'm not
Actually, it was ice cream treats for the entire school district staff.
Right.
So we had treats in every department for every employee.
Okay. But not the kids.
No, this was before school started.
Okay.
Well, anyway, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Passes 4-0. Consent agenda items business, item 18. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Giles, second by Diane Grooms. Any comment? Well, Larry, I do know a couple of things. And that is, Mrs. Grooms knows what the blue X's on cement means now. She says, uh-oh, I see a couple that Dean doesn't like. So we've learned a lot. And the completion of all the work at Endeavor, great job. Is this wall mount replacement project for all of the schools that are suffering through that?
No, it's not, Mr. Nguyen. This represents, as we looked at the scope of the work, we came to the realization that it would be best if we presented this in phases. And so what you see tonight is an item so that we can go to bid on the heat pump pack units on portable classrooms. And you probably recognize those big rectangular boxes on the outside. Those are the easiest ones to do. And so we're going to do all of those units first in chunks. So what you see tonight are 5 schools representing a total of 61 units. And about a month from now, we will come back to you again with another 5 schools. And we're going to keep doing that every month to 6 weeks so that we can get this work rolling in phases. And the primary reason is the availability of heat pump units. We're already seeing that there's a multiple week delay in getting the units. And so if we can get work started on a set of them, we're going to do that and make this work successive. And so that we constantly have work projects moving forward. So we felt this was the best approach, and you're going to see more in the future, very similar to this.
Thank you. Are any of the classrooms still suffering with zero air conditioning?
You know, I think for the most part, we have caught up, knock on wood. It was hot again today. But I think that with the 3 full-time employees that we have, contracting out with that assistance from that company from Pomona really helped us. It was a money well spent. It got us caught up, and we've tackled all the tough ones now, which are replacement of compressors. That's usually a 6 to 8 hour job. So right now it's just calls on stuff that's current. So if somebody calls, we get a work order today, odds are if we have the parts, we can address that and solve that problem today. If it's a compressor and something that we have to order, it might take a day or 2 to get that. But I think for the most part, the guys are just addressing things as they come up on a day-to-day basis. And we hope we never have to go through that again. We think the installation of these new units will go quite a way towards minimizing the calls next fall when we return to school. Aye.
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 Mr. Nguyen, that microphone, we're gonna have to pull that microphone a little closer to you.
I can barely hear you.
Thank you. Okay,
And turn it off.
Try to keep
Oh.
an eye on them.
thank you.
Number 19, educational services consent agenda items. Need a motion?
I'll move.
Second.
Moved by Greg Tepe, second by Mr. Grooms. Any comments or in discussion? Could you explain the stability zone?
Just like it sounds.
Is that something new in our,
So that would actually be Mr. Hoffman and Mr. Hoffman, that's item 19K.
I'll give you what I can, and then we do have Rosemary here who can add in some more if you have some additional questions. But because this person is someone that Rosemary was able to find and connected with on a positive level with thinking through our CCEIS grant, which is focusing on disproportionality, as you know, and how we can address that throughout the district. And part of that work is reaching out and working with our parents and our families as well. So the best way we can leverage supporting our parents in some ways is to empower our family and community ambassadors to be better equipped when they're working with the families to support the connectedness with schools, how to be able to communicate what their needs are to the school so that we have a better communication two-way going back and forth to understand how we can support the families from their perspective. And so this mindful civility will be a workshop that we'll offer on our PD day on September 22nd to our family and community ambassadors. We'll train them up throughout the entire day. Then they will use that training to go and support our parents in being able to be more engaged with the school experience and helping their students to be more successful. So on the rationale, you'll see the different labs that are going to be covered that day, from the basic how schools work to more supports for connecting the dots for the student, for the parents, and making that connection of how parents, what's your role? What's the power that you bring to the table so that you can, get through the education needs that we often speak and really understand and communicate your needs. So that's basically it in a nutshell. Further questions? I'm sure Rosemary may.
Is it district-wide or is it just one site?
Well, it'll be district-wide in the sense that we're going to train all of our family and community ambassadors
Okay.
throughout the day. It'll be a full day for them. And
So we have community ambassadors at every site?
We do.
Or- Okay. Thank you.
any further discussion or questions? With that, all in favor, say aye.
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 Vote passes 4-0. Number 20, consent agenda items for human resources. Make a motion.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mr. Giles, second by Greg Tepe. Any comments or questions?
Just a reminder for the board and the audience that item 20F was pulled at the beginning of the meeting prior to the agenda being approved. So you would be approving the consent agenda item with the exception of item 20F.
Any further questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 4-0. Twenty-one, innovation and technology services. Need a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Grooms,
Second.
second by Greg Tepe. You know, Rebecca, I have to ask. We've done Code Monkey before.
Yes, we used it last year with Mariposa and Westwind to support their coding programs at their sites. So we're adding that also to the middle schools who have computer science electives.
Thank you. And hop, skip, and drive.
That's a program that will transport students. That's for our homeless children who have no way to get to school. Maybe they've moved to Palmdale, but they still need to go to their school of origin. So that program provides transportation for students.
Okay. Is that under a grant or?
No, that's provided through our homeless funds.
Okay, very good.
How's the,
Any other questions?
how's the liability on that for us? I mean, I'm assuming they really vet their employees since they're sending kids off on a stranger in their car.
Yeah,
Basically Uber for kids, correct?
yeah, they're bonded for children. They could even take kids with special needs. They have special training for their drivers. So yeah, they're specific for children.
Right.
We're very familiar with this with the School Bus Transportation Agency as well, and are looking at having them assist us for specific difficult transportation issues.
Is it hard to get drivers for that, or are they still?
We haven't had any problem with that, but they get paid very well. So.
Yes, they do. Saw that. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Any further questions or discussion? All in favor? Say aye.
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 Aye. Vote passes 4-0. Moving on to number 22, legislative and policy discussion. Do I have any discussion or question? How about civility?
Coming up a couple of times.
Yes, sir. It's on there a couple of times. And the question for civility?
Well, I've noticed that, or heard that some of the schools are having difficulty with altercations amongst students. And in one case, I heard of even a parent being involved. And I'm glad we're instituting this policy, as well as number 22E, which is hate motivated behavior. I don't want this to get blown out of proportion because I don't think it's a major issue in our school district, but I'm glad we're taking steps now to correct it.
Yes, actually, the board already has a policy 3515.2 that addresses disruptions. And what these additional policies do, the policy for civility and hate motivated behaviors actually call out those behaviors. So it's an additional layer and an additional policy that specifically speaks to the importance of civility by all members on a school campus, and that expectation, whether they are an employee, whether they're a student or a visitor, there is an expectation that people are going to engage in a respectful and civil manner. And if for whatever reason that behavior does not align to that, then this policy language, as well as the disruption language, provides kind of an avenue for us to have an expectation that those individuals would be asked to leave the event, or the meeting would be stopped, or we could call for assistance if there was any kind of threat of injury or harm, to call for police to come and assist with that. But I think what these two policies really do is bring out they elevate the conversation about the expectation of civility, as well as the expectation around the inappropriateness of hate motivated behaviors.
I agree. Thank you. Are there any other questions or concerns? Thank you. We'll move on to comments from the board. Mr. Giles.
Okay. Glad to be here. Long night. Wanted to, what did I want to say? Wanted to appreciate our congrats to our ACES winners. That was nice to have some winners for that again. And our thanks to Ruby for our unaudited actuals presentation. We always are doing really good in that area. Congratulations to our confidential employees. All of those guys make our life easier as well. I mean, that's the ones I think we run into the most, and they all go above and beyond anything I've ever needed or asked for. They are Johnny on the spot, I would have to say. I don't know if you make them do that, but that's what they do. I don't think they seem to be very motivated to be great employees. So I appreciate that. I don't know what their award says, but I hope it's something really nice, like, we like you or something. I don't know what it says, but couldn't see it from here, but it looked nice. I appreciated the new teacher report. That's pretty cool. Thanks, Krista, and I think it was Renee. And of course, all the school plans. I mean, I think I called them safety plans before. Obviously, not safety plans. It's another long one, but this is their educational plans. I appreciate all the work that goes into those. I know they think through those, and I appreciate all that they do for those reports as well. I think with that, I think I have water at my house now, so I'm pretty excited to go home. It's not done, but I have water, so that's a good thing. You buy a new house so you don't have problems, but you live there for 31 years, you start having problems. So apparently I have an old house now. So with that, I'll close out the meeting and hopefully I can still get in it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, one more thing. I wanted to invite all our board members to the Antelope Valley School Board Association meeting, and also our administrators, where we're having the Educational Summit, which is the 4th Tuesday of this month. It's going to be at Lancaster High. It'll be they'll have it a little bit spread out a little bit more for COVID friendliness. They're going to have it still going to have it in the cafeteria. So if you're interested in going, let Jerry know, because we're going to have a pretty good count. And if it's too full, we'll have to stop you, but also will be carried virtually as well. That's going to be the 1, 2, 3. I think it's the 28th, right? All right. I think so. That's got to be the 4th Tuesday, 28th. I don't even have it on my calendar yet, but it should be, I believe, is it 6 or 6:30?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. And it'll be like a hors d'oeuvre type format, which I believe the kids will be serving and
TC and
yes.
Yeah.
So it should be a cool event. I know CSBA is bringing up, I invited Vern and Billy, but I'm not sure. I know Dennis Myers is going to be there. Keith Brather, an attorney, and then I think they have another attorney. They have like this little roadshow thing they do. And was somebody else? Well, I think Vern and Billy called me the other day. He might come up too, because he likes to come up and see us as well. So
I showed that on the 28th.
I believe it is
that
the 28th.
correct? Okay.
If that's not what I said, I believe it's Sport Tuesday, which I believe is the 20th.
It's 28th. Okay.
Tuesdays are tough. I start pretty early, so by this time of day, I could go any direction. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. Ms. Grooms?
Yes, I wanted to say thank you to all the people who made presentations tonight. This was this is the meat and potatoes of what we're all about, and I really do appreciate hearing the amount of thought that goes into planning the education of our kids, because that really is at the heart of what we're doing. All of these other things that we do make it attractive to kids, make it attractive to families, make us very proud in our community of the great things that we're doing. But the meat and potatoes is right there on the education side. So I really do appreciate that. A special thanks to our confidential staff, the 4 ladies who were honored. They truly are the secret sauce of our administration. You know, I know you guys are awesome in your positions, but there are days when Michelle would always say, Jerry, you make me look good. And I think that's the same for all 4 of those ladies. So I really do appreciate the work that they do behind the scenes. This was Ruby Thompson's last end of the year closeout because she has already announced that she's planning to retire, training her subsequent staff and getting that ready. And she's really very excited to pass her knowledge on. But it's bittersweet for her, I can tell. So I just wanted to thank her for that information. Our reports from Nancy Corey, the Leadership Academy, Mariposa, and Sierra were excellent. And like I said, I'm always looking online now at what do we look like online in the Instagram, the Facebook, the web page. Do we look like what we're saying we want to look like? And because that's where our parents are. And we need to make sure that we are really drawing them in. And thank you again for the School Board Association meeting plan. I think this will be the first one I'll be able to go to in some time. So I like getting back out there and in public. So thank you. Good meeting.
Thank you, Diane. Mr. Teepee?
Ditto to everything that's been said so far. It was great to see the ACES awards and the confidential employee recognition.
A little bit closer to your mic.
Oh, okay.
Mrs. Broom.
How's that? A little bit better?
There. Thank you.
Yeah, fantastic employees. It was neat to see all the years that they put in, all the experience that they brought to our district. And one of the things that was said about one of the employees is they have a calm demeanor and a can-do attitude. I thought that was really neat. A great report, Ruby. It's great to see how everything is balanced out and where the money's going and so forth. I know you put in tremendous amount of work to get those reports and get them all that work completed. So thank you for all the work you've been doing with those reports. We really enjoy them. New teacher support. What a huge task going, especially at this time when it's so tough to recruit teachers and train them. And so hats off that program's still running strong and got a lot of teachers going through that and a lot of teachers providing support for it. So great job there. SIPSA presentations. It's surprising after being closed down for a whole year how we're going full board, just jumping right into all the programs and getting the parents involved, kids involved. And so that's neat to see. It is neat to see all the thought that's brought into it, all the strategies that different schools are using to teach the kids. So keep up the great work and great presentations, all of them. That's all I had. A great board meeting.
Bauer?
Thank you very much, Mr. Wynn and board. And I will be brief. A big thank you to everyone that presented this evening and received recognitions. A special thank you to our confidential folks for all that you do. Definitely take pride in what you do and how you do it each and every day. And we are truly honored to have the opportunity to acknowledge and recognize you this evening. So thank you. And thank you to HR for their work and making that possible and doing a wonderful presentation this evening. Also just want to remind the board and say thank you to all of our folks out there that we had back to school nights in the last few weeks. And though they were virtual, we had good attendance. One of the things this year, because we've done this virtual thing once before, so we know a little bit better. And that's the ability for us to continue to record those and make that information available to parents that weren't able to tune in at that time, or perhaps join the school later and want to get to know more about their teacher and the structure of the classroom. So we're able to do some things virtually that we weren't able to do in person. And we are still working to make the best of this situation and combine some of the things, some of the learnings from being in a virtual environment with our return to in-person instruction. With that said, also want to say thank you to everyone for their extra efforts with the return to in-person instruction and the adjustments that are being made to make sure that we're able to do what we need to do and working together to keep everyone safe. And things are going very well. So we will continue to do that. And special thank you to our parents out there for really assisting with that, because overall, when you look at our numbers, even though we do get some notifications, everyone is screening and doing what they need to do to really keep those numbers of positive cases down. So thank you to everyone. And I believe that concludes my remarks for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bowers. And I'll start at the very top with the best news, and that was plus 94 and plus 116 from last year. We're on the right track. I think I have to say, I still love the advertisement that we're seeing on those bulletin boards. And every day I go past them and they're acknowledging Lancaster School District, I say, gosh, I hope it brought more people. And it looks like it is. And I have to say, the teachers and the staff at these schools that are doing these SIPSs and safety reports are doing a fantastic job. The staff, they're all here. They were all here tonight doing it. And it's always good to see Krista here. I've seen her at the schools teaching. Well, I'm sorry, not teaching, at the schools, as well as Jordan. And I know that, the administrators, from what I understand, have all done their time at the schools. So thank you all very much. It's a critical time. Lexi's let us know that we are short. And thank you for helping wherever you can. I guess I keep saying it, but that's what makes this district family, is the fact that each one of us is ready to jump in and do the job. And I have to thank Michelle for leading that charge. So with that, Lexi, I was glad to see you back. I didn't watch your sexy walk, but it was so nice to have you back giving out awards. To both the ACEs and the confidential. Larry, Dr. Freeze, it was so nice to hear Ruby not pass on the gloom and doom that sometimes has come with these unaudited actuals. And although we have a lot of stuff that's going on, I'm glad you're getting the air conditioning fixed at the school. Tell Dean I'm glad he's getting the completion done at the various sites. And one last, I'm putting X's on the concrete for Diane. It was also very nice to see Nancy Talbot here. It's good to see her. She even with all of her dog judging and everything she does, she's still got time to come back to Lancaster School District. And that's amazing. So, and Kristen, that's all, I'm sure, where you learned a lot of what you do for the induction ceremonies and the induction. Is Nancy used to love that, as well as everyone else, including me. I enjoyed watching it. But thank you very much. We'll close the meeting or adjourn at 9:12. Sorry we went so late. But
So move.
the school plans were important.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Groom, second by Keith Giles. Is there any comment other than voting aye? Just ayes. 4 ayes.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. 4 ayes takes us out. Thank you very much. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you very much. Our meeting is adjourned.